EduVerse PD podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions, your on-the-go professional development. Welcome to the EduVerse PD podcast. In today's episode, we're exploring how teacher professional learning communities should be changing in the age of AI. Our AI co-hosts, Andy and Liz, will be discussing the article Better Together, Democratizing Global Teacher Development in the Age of AI by Dr. Ilka Kostka, Dr. Rachel Toncelli, and Dr. Sara Ratner, featured in EduVerse Newsletter, issue 23. So let's step right in and join Andy and Liz as they unpack what it truly means to be better together in the age of AI.
Welcome back, everyone, to the EduVerse PD podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Andy. Great to be back. If you're an educator trying to navigate this new reality, your professional life probably feels a bit like a digital battlefield right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Every single day, there's a fresh wave of policy statements, webinars, sometimes, panicked pronouncements about generative AI. It's a genuine whirlwind.
It really is. The fatigue is real. And the core challenge isn't just keeping up with what AI can do, right? It's how teachers can effectively, ethically, responsibly integrate it into their actual daily practice.
Yeah.
And this demands a deep, practical AI literacy. Plus, professional learning that's super contextualized. It has to apply directly to your classroom, your students, your subject.
That's the critical missing piece, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is to look at sources that propose kind of a radical solution to this pressure.
Okay.
Reimagining and democratizing teacher development.
Yeah.
We want to know how we can make sure high quality, relevant resources aren't just stuck in top universities or, expensive conferences,
but are accessible to all educators everywhere. Globally.
So we're pulling our insights today from the work of three key leaders in this field. We've got Dr. Ilka Kostka and Dr. Rachel Toncelli from Northeastern University. Their focus is really on professional learning frameworks and ethical AI integration.
Okay.
And we're pairing that with the global insights of Dr. Sara Ratner from the University of Oxford. She's a principal investigator for the AI in education at Oxford University. They call it AIEOU.
Research Hub.
AIEOU. Got it. Okay, let's unpack this then. Their core argument seems to be that this shift, this whole idea of democratization, it's essential, not just for PD, but for increasing goodwill, sharing knowledge.
Even diplomacy, they mentioned, whether you're talking about local school districts or these, huge interconnected global education systems.
It's kind of like leveraging our collective knowledge to deal with this massive, rapid technological disruption.
And what's immediately fascinating is how they pinpoint the roadblock. They argue that, to democratize knowledge, we have to start by dismantling the standard PD model.
Right. They're basically saying we need to minimize those traditional mandated top-down approaches.
Where learning is dictated by agencies or admins.
Yeah, and that mandated training often feels so disconnected, generic, and frankly, sometimes a waste of time because it rarely tackles the specific problem a teacher is facing on, Tuesday morning.
Exactly. So the actionable advice for teachers here is really powerful because it gives them genuine agency. The sources suggest teachers should work together.
Oh.
Ask fundamental, deep questions about their specific teaching practices, the assignments they give, how they assess what their students actually need.
So the starting point is always the human problem, the classroom problem, not the shiny new tech tool.
Precisely. And once those practical, contextualized questions are defined, then teachers are empowered to advocate for the exact tools and resources they need.
Which makes the professional learning experiential, right, immediately relevant, instead of just something you tick off a compliance box.
But, and this is a big but, this kind of grassroots movement, it can't succeed without real support from the top. Administrators, policymakers, they have a key role in clearing the path.
That's where the challenge often lies, though. It sounds great, but let's be realistic. For a time-crunched administrator, maybe facing budget cuts, dedicating common planning time specifically for AI exploration, that might sound like a luxury.
An extra expense.
Yeah. Are the sources giving a tangible reason, like an efficiency argument, for why leadership should prioritize this flexibility now?
They argue the ROI is adaptability. And retention, actually. Leadership needs to dedicate that common planning time for colleagues to exchange ideas and offer curricular flexibility.
Flexibility, meaning space to experiment.
Exactly. Space to explore AI tools without this constant fear of failure. The goal isn't compliance. It's enhancing teachers' agency and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. Rapid adaptability.
Okay.
If teachers feel they own the process, they become the solution, not, another problem to manage.
That makes a lot of sense. Ownership breeding efficiency in the long run. Now, this leads us to what I think is a really brilliant conceptual pivot they propose.
Ah, yes.
Inviting students to be actual thought partners in all of this.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Since Gen AI evolves so quickly, sometimes it feels like practically overnight, the sources point out that teachers just don't have the luxury of time.
Time to become experts for...
Right. You can't wait to be a full expert before you start integrating the technology. So the only democratic solution really is co-learning.
It's almost like they're suggesting we treat the classroom less like a factory assembly line for knowledge and more like, a startup incubator.
Yeah.
Where everyone, teachers and students, has a valid beta test to run.
That's a great analogy. Teachers exploring AI with their students, creating an inclusive class environment where expertise flows in both directions.
Okay, so what does that look like practically?
Well, this co-learning model offers some great practical classroom ideas. For instance, teachers can actively foster critical thinking just by discussing AI-generated output in class.
Oh, so...
By asking things like, okay, why did the AI answer this way? What's missing here? What bias might be evident in this response?
That's vital, because doing that directly disrupts that common student assumption, that anything an AI spits out is inherently better or more authoritative than their own work.
Right. It forces them to interrogate the source, not just accept it.
Hmm.
And another really powerful conversation starter is co-creating guidelines for Gen AI use.
Together, students and teachers.
Yes, involving both in the process. This doesn't just set crystal clear expectations, it gives the teacher genuinely rich insights into the student's perspective.
Like what they think constitutes cheating, maybe.
Yeah.
Or what they value in learning.
Exactly. And how they see the tool's utility in their own lives. It opens up really important conversations.
And keeping that ethical lens sharp, they also suggest using current news reports about AI.
Yeah, and there's certainly no shortage of those. Use them to encourage classroom discussion around ethical AI policy, its integration into society.
So it connects AI literacy to civics, to daily life, makes it a relevant human issue, not just some abstract tech thing.
Precisely. And ultimately, the sources really highlight that advancing Gen AI integration and innovation, it rests on creating these robust, shared communities of practice.
Yeah.
That collective shared exploration is what's going to drive sustainable change. And we see great examples of this happening, both locally and globally.
Okay, let's start local then. They detail a fantastic example, right? A book club.
Yeah, a book club created for university English language teachers and administrators. It was run by Kostka and Toncelli.
And the participants weren't just like reading a manual.
Not at all. They set personal AI literacy goals. They read about using AI specifically for supporting multilingual students, which was their context. Then they experimented in their actual classes. And crucially, they reconvened to share concrete, real-world insights, what worked, what didn't.
And that model sounds highly replicable. Is that the key takeaway?
That's exactly it. They built this with minimal resources. They relied heavily on open access resources, multimodal texts, things that are freely available.
So you don't need a massive budget or some fancy proprietary software to launch that kind of effective contextualized PD.
Nope. You just need dedicated time and a shared goal.
And this idea scales globally too, right? Through initiatives like Dr. Ratner's work with the AIEOU at Oxford.
Yes, the AI in Education at Oxford University. This is a really crucial global example because it's an interdisciplinary research hub founded on systems theory.
Okay, let's quickly define that jargon. Systems theory. What does that mean in this context?
It means basically treating global education not as a collection of totally separate isolated national school systems, but as interconnected parts. So a policy change in, say, the UK might instantly affect practice or curriculum development in a country like Kenya. The system is inherently interconnected.
I see. So the AIEOU is designed to embrace that interconnected nature.
Exactly. And what's crucial is that AIEOU promotes a research-informed, ethical, human-centered approach. It's inclusive. It's free
Free permit.
for an incredibly diverse community. Educators, academics, students, technologists, even governments worldwide. It aims to eliminate those geopolitical barriers and paywalls, at least at the community level, ensuring knowledge flows more freely.
Okay, but let me push back a bit. If I'm teaching 10th grade English in, say, rural Idaho, what does a free hub in Oxford actually deliver to my daily lesson plan? Is it just dense academic reports?
That's a fair question. It delivers validated practice by providing a global platform for sharing what works.
Like that book club model, maybe.
Exactly. Or new ethical guidelines developed somewhere else. It saves individual teachers that massive effort of constantly reinventing the wheel. It gives access to cutting-edge, peer-reviewed materials and practical strategies that might otherwise be locked behind expensive journal subscriptions or conference fees.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to another major systemic issue they raised, the whole problem of dissemination. Because while bottom-up learning in these communities are essential, their value kind of plummets if the new knowledge can't be shared quickly.
Especially with AI.
We're talking about breakthrough classroom strategies today, but the academic publishing cycle, well, it often takes 9 months, 18 months.
That time delay is absolutely crippling in the AI space. Traditional publishing is lengthy, it's costly, and those conference and journal fees can be prohibitive for teachers, especially globally.
So you have this amazing innovation happening in a classroom in Toronto.
Right, but it might take 2 years to reach a teacher in Johannesburg through the formal channels.
And given that the tech itself changes fundamentally every, 3 to 6 months, that 1 year publishing delay feels like a decade in AI time.
Precisely. So future development requires, as they put it, faster and non-traditional ways of sharing classroom experimentation and research.
Beyond the existing paywalls and institutions.
Yes. We need to prioritize timely and equitable access to AI-driven educational research globally. We have to acknowledge that the technology is just flat out outpacing our traditional scholarly infrastructure.
So even as we explore all this incredible technological potential and the necessary system changes, the sources keep bringing us back to the most fundamental point.
That education is inherently human.
Right. This knowledge exchange, these communities, they must always facilitate a sense of belonging, collegiality, humanity, really, among collaborators.
That's where that concept of fostering human flourishing comes in, which they cite from other researchers. Keeping the human anchor means actively seeking ways to nurture deep student-teacher relationships, even when technology is mediating the learning.
Can you give us a practical example of what human flourishing might look like in a Gen AI integrated lesson plan, according to these sources? It sounds a bit abstract.
Sure. It could mean using AI to offload some administrative burdens, say, generating individualized practice quizzes based on student needs. That might give the teacher back, let's say, 5 hours a week. Those 5 hours are then strategically reinvested into deep human interaction.
Like one-on-one student conferences.
Exactly. Or collaborative project coaching, or facilitating those tricky ethical debates that only a human can truly guide effectively. It's about leveraging AI to amplify the human element, not diminish it.
Okay, that reframes the entire purpose of the tech. But adopting this kind of radical change, it requires some serious change management, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We have to acknowledge that educators have, as they put it, very mixed feelings. People are excited about the potential, sure.
But they're also genuinely worried about job security, assessment integrity, the sheer volume of work needed just to adapt.
And administrators have their own specific worries too, right? Beyond just overhauling assessment practices.
Oh yeah. Leadership is grappling with resource allocation, equity concerns, huge questions around liability, like how do they ethically manage student data used by these proprietary AI models? The change management piece is critical. It really requires rethinking the entire purpose of education in some ways.
So empathy has to lead the way.
It has to. Leadership needs to communicate change with empathy, acknowledge the fears, but also work with educators to develop a shared vision for AI integration.
And ensure readiness.
Yes. Ensure educator readiness through that kind of flexible, bottom-up professional development we talked about. Doing this thoughtfully is absolutely key to reducing opportunity gaps and promoting equitable use across the board.
Making sure some teachers aren't left behind just because they lacked resources or time.
Exactly.
So, wrapping this up, What does this all mean for you, the educator listening, trying to navigate this new landscape?
Well, it means that the sustainable way forward seems to require teachers to perhaps redefine their purpose a bit, to lean on each other for support, share innovative practices freely.
And foster solidarity across all those geopolitical boundaries to withstand this AI disruption.
It's about community resilience, really, grounded in the knowledge that you are definitely not in this alone.
And the sources are very clear that right now we probably have more questions than answers.
That's for sure.
And to preserve that crucial human touch, to make sure our students truly thrive, there's several critical questions teachers really need to collectively explore.
Yeah, they lay out some key ones. First, how can we actively protect the uniquely human aspects of teaching, the creativity, the surprise, those moments of real connection in this age of AI?
Second, how do we make sure that critical thinking, creativity, and even that necessary productive struggle that's required for deep learning, how are those actually strengthened when AI is used, rather than just bypassed?
Third, how do we ensure that distinct human qualities, things like empathy, emotional intelligence, complex pedagogical judgment, are not lost in this relentless push for technological efficiency?
And finally, maybe most importantly, how can we leverage these powerful AI tools to enhance, but not replace, what teachers already do exceptionally well in their classrooms?
Which is fundamentally about building relationships and fostering curiosity.
Yeah.
Those are the core tasks, really, for the coming years. And they're shared by everyone, from the teacher in the classroom right up to the researcher at Oxford.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to chew on today. Resilience isn't just about weathering the storm. It's maybe about owning the map.
I like that.
By engaging in these communities of practice, by democratizing knowledge, the teacher shifts, maybe, from being just a passive recipient of global policy to being the chief architect of the future classroom.
That resilience, that ownership, that's what will ensure human-centered experiences are ultimately enhanced, not replaced, by technology. We hope this has given you plenty to think about and explore further.
What an inspiring look into how teacher development and professional activities should be optimized these days. Thank you, Andy and Liz, for guiding us through the insights from Dr. Kostka, Dr. Toncelli, and Dr. Ratner's article, Better Together, Democratizing Global Teacher Development in the Age of AI. If you'd like to read the full article and explore more forward-thinking ideas, visit our website and download EduVerse Newsletter, issue 23, at www.proed.com.vn/eduverse. And if you have your own perspective on innovation or collaboration in education, we'd love to hear from you. Submit your article and be part of the global EduVerse conversation. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode of the EduVerse PD podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions.